Next section is about encoding. Encoding is the translation of data attributes into visual attributes that are easy to be understood. For my infographic, I used 3 different encodings in 3 different displays. First of all, for the first number display, I used the length of arc as an encoding. The length of a colored arc of the cable represents the percent of market share. This length encoding allows the audience to easily notice which smartphone manufacturer has the biggest market share. According to this display, Apple has the largest share, which indicates that there are more iPhone users than any other smartphones in the States. The next one is the second number display. It has Leibniz encoding. Beginning from the apple seed, the apple grows as the cumulative sales grows. The Leibniz of the apple is not only represented with the size, but also the color of the apple. For the last element, I use a basket of apples rather than a bigger apple. I wanted to make distinction between the fourth element and the last element so that I can emphasize the number 1 billion on the last element. As I mentioned previously, one of my concerns for this encoding is that the audience might interpret this encoding as a side encoding. Since the Leibniz has 2 factors, color and size, the size is not directly proportional to the sales. For example, the difference between the sales of the second element and the third element is 276.6 million. But the size difference between these 2 elements does not look that huge. However, I believe this will not be a major concern if the audience concentrates on the change of size and the color while they are reading this display. The last encoding is relative position. I use this encoding for the time display. The position closer to the earphone jack on the top of the display indicates earlier, while farther from it represents later in the timeline. Since the positions are connected with the image of earphone, it is to follow the timeline from the earliest model of the iPhone to the latest model of the iPhone, which is at the bottom of the timeline as a wireless earphone. Next section is about color. Color always plays an important role on an infographic. For my infographic, there are 3 main colors: light beige, brown, and black. The light beige is used for the background color, brown is used for the main color of the infographic, and the black color is mostly used for text. Although it is hard to determine the color scheme with only 2 major colors, excluding the black for the text color, the color harmony for my infographic is analogous. An analogous color scheme consists of colors that are all of the hues used are within a reasonable narrow wedge of the color wheel. As you can see, the color wheel for my infographic main colors, these 2 colors create a reasonable narrow wedge of the color wheel. The overall tone of the color set is warm and calm. Considering the cold and charismatic image of iPhone, since it uses black as its primary marketing color, this set of calm color might seem ironic. However, this calm color fits my infographic since the infographic has many images with various colors. If the tone of the color were too strong, such as red, it would have distracted the audience from focusing on the images. This is one of the reasons why there are only few colors are used, why strong highlight color is absent, why color encoding is absent, and why I did not use the colors that triggers associations. For my infographic, color is supplementary elements, while the images convey the most of the information. Therefore, colors shouldn't distract the audience from focusing on the images. Next section is about text. Although my infographic doesn't use that much text, it still plays an important role for my infographic. First of all, I use Allegra Sans for the title and the header of each label, while Poppins for the contents. I found these two fonts based on the analysis of my typography model. For Allegra Sans, it has light slanting stroke ends with no serif. It also has two-story A and G. Also, the variation in stroke weight is 7 to 25. With its strong weight and unique stroke style, this font is appropriate for the title. For Poppins, it has horizontal stroke ends with no serif. It also has one-story A and G. Variation in stroke weight is 7 to 14. Since it is ordinary and not too fancy, this font is appropriate for the content. Simple style of this font allows the audience to read the text easily. For my infographic, I used both precision labels and identify labels. Precision labels refer to text that represent the exact value of a measurement. Identify labels refer to text that clarify what visual elements actually represent. In my infographic, I use Allegra Sans for identify labels and Poppins for precision labels so that those labels look different from each other. Also, for my infographic, no text is used to annotate. However, I used an association strategy. I use leader lines for my infographic. Each label has a leader line that points specific part of a visual element. I chose this strategy not just because it is used in the visual language model, but also this strategy seemed to have less misinterpretation since it directly refers to the visual element that the label is associated to. Next section is about visual hierarchy. Visual hierarchy refers to variations in visual prominence of elements in a display. It is very important when the infographic consists of many sections. It might affect the interpretation of overall infographic. For my infographic, I created the visual hierarchy by the order. There are only one display for each section, like this. Therefore, the audience have to read the displays in the order that I want them to follow. I arrange the display in the following order: relationship, timeline, number displays, and the location. This order is determined based on the possible question that the audience might come up with. For example, for those who do not know about iPhone, when they read the title, they might come up with, what is iPhone? Thus, I put the relationship model right after the title, since it explains iPhone is a type of a smartphone. Next possible questions can be, what are the models of iPhone? How popular is iPhone? And where can I buy iPhone? For each questions, my displays have answers. For example, my timeline shows different models for iPhone by year. The number display answers how popular the iPhone is with quantitative data. And lastly, the location display shows where the audience can buy the iPhone by showing the location of Apple Store in the worldwide. Next section is about unity and variety. Unity is created when the repetition of visual attributes are used across the display. For example, repetition uses of a rectangular shape or blue color is unity. On the other hand, variety is created to make a visual look interesting and dynamic by having variation in color, texture, size, and shape. For my infographic, I used Unity for my number displays. The shape of charging cable on the first number display and the shape of apples on the second number display share the same shape of circle. It creates a unity. I also use variety for the second number display. In order to highlight the number 1 billion, I increase the number of apples rather than increase of the size or change the color of the apple. This is different from the unity that I used for the previous element for the second number display. For the relations display, I gave color variation only for iPhone to make it visually interesting, while the other smartphones have unity in black and white color. Next section is about layout and alignment. Layout refers to the arrangement of elements on a page or screen. Alignment refers to arranging text and graphic elements so they line up. Both of them are important for an infographic since bad layout or bad alignment might confuse the audience. I use the same model for layout and alignment. For my infographic, I emulate my layout model with vertical alignment. Here is my layout alignment model. My infographic looks similar to the model in terms of alignment. For both displays, the sections were all vertically aligned while some visual elements such as charts are aligned horizontally. As you can see on my infographic, the second number display, the apples are aligned horizontally, which is similar to the chart of a capital total on the model. However, my infographic is a bit different from the model in terms of arrangement. The model uses various images of objects in two columns for comparison, while I used each section for each display. One of the reasons why I did not follow the model arrangement is that I have more displays to be included within the infographic. The model has 3 displays, where the first one is relatively huge, where they compare the annual cost of dog and cat. On the other hand, I have 5 different displays which are hard to be arranged into columns. And this is the end of my video. Thank you for watching. And if you want to know more about my infographic, please check on my portfolio site. Thank you.